Hi there. This is video number 18 for edits and errors, and it's called Automated Saving of Code Output. You'll notice that there's a new name here. Some of the videos that I've been making identify things that truly do not work in the model and are more or less essential, and those things I have called things that don't work. There are other things that are relatively small items that are not critical issues for running the code, but sooner or later they're useful and would make the code easier to use and in the long run a much better code. And I have called them edits and errors. And so that is what we have today. Okay. There are a few things that are grouped here under the general heading of automated settings, automated saving, and they're related. First of all, I want to talk about the fact that I make multiple runs. As a background for these particular issues and for the topic in general, I just want to show you a list of some of the typical runs that I've made recently when working to calibrate one single model in the IRIC code. For example, here's a list of runs. This is roughly 20 of them. It is done over 2 or 3 days, but it would be not uncommon for me to do that amount of test runs in a single sitting. Now, some of the runs can just take a minute or two, and others can take 2 or 3 hours to actually work them out. But this is an example of the amount of runs that one can do in a single sitting. I have another example from today. That's one that I did in just a couple of hours, where I ran 11 or 12 runs in a couple of hours. Okay? Now, I show you that to make the point that you do a lot of runs. So saving your conditions and documenting what you're doing is really important. First, I want to show you what I currently do in the IRIC platform. Now, the first important thing is to set the location and name of your output. You see the amount of keystrokes. I won't even describe them. It's searching out a position, capturing the name by copying it, finding your location where you want to save it to, creating a new folder, and then giving it the new name, version 13. Now, we want to remember that name. In fact, I'm going to copy it so that I have it. Now, since I have my conditions, I also want to save this file, and I go to a location where I have that output file that I just made, version 13. In that output file, I save that name, and it will save it as an iPro project. Now I have thoroughly saved all the conditions that I need. Now, the point that I want to make with that is that it's a lot of keystrokes to save things, navigating with the mouse, typing in names. It took me about a minute, and I'm very quick at it because I have just done it over and over and over again, literally hundreds of times. So if you do 20 runs in a single sitting, 20 minutes of your time is going to be devoted to that repetitive keystrokes that could be automated. Now, there are a couple things that are automated in MATLAB that save time and efficiency, and I want to show them to you. Bring up the MATLAB, which I've already opened up, and we'll do a run. Okay, now when we do a scenario, go from channel which is 2004. I'm just going to take it a few years here, so that it goes rather quickly. There's the one where it prompts for your output. And for my output, I'm going to say video test. Let me get it working a little bit better. Video test. You want to input a variable hydrograph? No. Now you'll see over here that it's running. It's just going to run until 2014. And there it is. It's done. So my first point is that output dialog box is semi-automated, saving you a lot of keystrokes and mouse navigation. But just as importantly, since it's requested each time, it reminds you to do it, and actually you can't make the run without saving it. That's a safeguard against overriding the data, which is something that I have done time and time again in IRIC. And I usually do it when it's most important because I'm most excited and I forget to go change the output location, and then it just overwrites. So at the very least, some kind of blockage so you don't overwrite data, or a pop-up menu or a pop-up message that says, do you really want to overwrite your data, at the very least. Okay. Now that we've made that run, let's look at what it has output for us. Okay, and there we have the file we just made, video test. And although the bins and the shapefiles here do not have a unique name, you'll see down here that these files give it the name of the output file, which was video test. That's really helpful, because when you're taking files and center lines into GIS programs to show them, if you just take something that's generic that says 2014, well, you might be taking 2014 from 7 different runs, and you don't know which one's which after a while if you're not careful and renaming them. So for it to give an automated name of the output folder is really helpful. So in summary, I do realize that IRIC differs from MATLAB, and that difference has proved to be to great advantage in some places, and in other places it has limitations where you can't make things work as easily as you might in the MATLAB situation. But I hope that we can figure out a creative way to accomplish the heart of the matter, and that is to make things easier to use. It may not be the way I've suggested here, but if you use the code for any length of time, you realize the great benefit that automation brings. And so, again, the easier and the better we make it, the more people are going to use it. So what would we like to have automated? I'm wondering if there's some way we can have the program prompt for the output file name, as it does in MATLAB. And even if possible, use the run version name as a start, or the code file name as a beginning. Secondly, it would be useful to assign the output file name to center lines, like it does in MATLAB. Again, to sign off, these are not critical issues for running the code, but sooner or later they would be very useful and would help make the code easier to use, and in the long run make it a better code. Thank you.